You're listening to The Blind Chick, an Aftersight original podcast. We're telling you stories about strength, overcoming hurdles, and living experiences. We see who you really are. Blindness can be an adventure. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Blind Chick. That's Moses Street.
And that's Penn Street, the blind chick.
Yeah.
Penn and I are going to tell you what we are thankful for. And me, it's easy because I'm a cold weather winter guy. And I am thankful that it is cold outside.
I like that, but I don't. I like being cold if I'm skiing, but other than that, no, thank you. But this year, I think the thing that I'm the most thankful for is just all the amazing travel that we've been able to do in 2025. And it was all safe, and all the incredible people that we met, including our guest today, was part of those travels. And I'm just really thankful that I live in a world, in a space, in a time that I can travel around the world and be part of other people's lives and learn from them and have them touch mine. So that's my big Thanksgiving thankfulness today.
Always outdoing me. That's
you don't raise the bar very high by saying I'm thankful for cold.
Let's get to the guests because we have so much fun.
Speaking of thankfulness, our guest today is one of the most thankful people that Moses and I have ever met. We had the privilege of meeting him in Kansas at the IAAIS conference, and we're going to tell you more about that. But the minute that I met today's guest, and Moses can definitely add in, but I just felt a really awesome connection, and what the work he has done and is doing is absolutely phenomenal. His name is Reverend Ray. He is also a pastor. He's very active in DC with the blind and low vision community. And when he was at the young age of 14 is when he lost his sight, and he's going to be sharing that story. He's a graduate of the Maryland School of the Blind. Yay for those schools of the blind. And also the American University. He's a 37-year Randolph-Sheppard entrepreneur, and that program is really tough. So it shows you the tenacity that Reverend Ray has. He's also a community advocate. He's a radio host, and you will understand why as soon as you hear his voice. He's a church founder, and he's also a proud handler of his 7th guide dog, Raven. Reverend Ray, welcome to the Aftersight. I'm sorry, I totally blew that. Reverend Ray, welcome to the Blind Chick.
Okay. Thank you, Penny. And it was a pleasure meeting you. Of course, Raven meeting Beethoven,
Yes.
and meeting Moses and all the folks that was at the conference.
Yes.
That my first conference, and I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And it was well worth the day and a half train ride up.
Oh, that's right. It took you forever to get there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You took the downtown shuttle. So
Yeah.
but
Yes, that's something that I can mark off my bucket list. Yes.
And as I remember, you begged your wife that you guys could just fly home.
Yes, I wanted to do that, but she said, no, we in for a dime, we in for a dollar. So,
maybe we'll get to the story of the return trip, but the getting there was a bad enough story. So
yeah, Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
But
Yeah.
let me jump in, because you know that the first thing that every sighted person says is, "Well, how did you go blind?" And I know when I was a kid that I wanted a Red Ryder BB gun so bad, and my
Mm,
mom.
Red Ryder.
Yeah, and my mom was having none of that. She goes, You'll go blind.
You'll shoot
Somebody
your
will
eye
shoot a
out,
BB."
right?
And I wasn't allowed to have a bow and arrow, and even playing with a stick. I'd pick up any of that, and she'd go, put that down. You're going to go blind." But in my mom's infinite knowledge and wisdom, firecrackers weren't part of the no list. And we had tons of them on the 4th of July, which is leading into your story of how you went blind, something to do with a firecracker.
Yes. And to let you know that I'm a great listener, old time radio, Red Ryder side chick with Little Beaver.
Oh.
So that would have been so that would have been a trivial question. I would have got it. Okay. So anyway, so let me tell you, a native of Washingtonian D.C. When I was 14 years old, 13, we was playing with fireworks in D.C. We call them a cherry
Cherry
bomb. That's a
bombs.
big firecracker.
Ooh.
And it exploded and blinded me in both eyes. And the people would say, "Oh, shame," but I would tell them today I would not be a reverend. I'd probably be more irreverent. So sometimes God know that He has a mission for you.
Yes.
So I got the opportunity after lose, because most of the people where I lived in D.C. Um, near the uh, Kennedy Playground, because a lot of people know
Mhm.
that. And so anyway, I lost my sight in the alley there, got blown up. But most of the black men that I knew, they either ended up in jail, on drugs, or
Mm.
dead. So I consider myself very lucky to just become blind only and get out of there, right? Because by becoming blind, I got introduced to the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, got some skills, and then went to Maryland School for the Blind. And at those schools, the the social training might not be the best, but education wise, you get a pretty good
Oh,
education. And then you also get to know a lot of blind people from different walks of life, which come from different
yes.
families, anywhere from, wealthy to poverty stricken. And so it really, and I mean, I never really associated with white people or the Latino people, none of that in my neighborhood. But going to Maryland School for the Blind, I got to know white people, Jewish people, Latino
Mm.
people, Italian people,
Wow.
you name it. So my scope of the world became very, very broad,
Yeah.
right? So it gave me some possibilities of other things that you can do. I mean, 'cause of course I was blind, so I couldn't become a basketball player or football player or boxer. Uh, you know, to work my way out of
Right.
poverty.
Right.
So I got the opportunity to meet people from other walks of lives, and that's how I understood education was very important, right? Very important to the
Right.
day. I read at least 100 books a year
Me
or more,
too. Me
right?
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes,
all right, okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, and people ask me when I go, they say, "Razor, why would you pay 100 or $200 or $300 to go to a conference?" Well, I tell them, if you learn one thing from any type of education, you can take that one thing and change your life and make a difference.
Yes.
So that's how important I understood education, and because of that, going to American American college, university, and all.
Yeah.
And I, went on from there to become a business person, because if you watch cowboy
Yeah.
movies, who is the people usually in charge? Even though they might be the villains, it's the people that own the business.
Yes,
Own-
absolutely.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to own a saloon, but but it's usually the people that own the businesses that's in charge. You know what I
Right.
mean? And the same thing in gangster movies. Who the people that they're in charge people? Even though the politician, it's the business people that run the politicians, right? It's not the
Absolutely. They
politicians.
have the power.
So I come to understand that you need to own a business to be a business person, to be able the person to be the influencer. So anyway, that's and I got out of Maryland School for the Blind. I got introduced to I think you all call it the BEP
Yes.
program, Business Enterprise Program. We call it the Randolph-Sheppard program.
Yeah.
So I got involved in that. And and I got became proprietor of snack bar, deli, um, different places, the archives. I had a facility there, in the Justice Department. I had a facility there. So I did that for 37 years.
Wow.
And then I said, well, after picking up a case of sodas for the 110,000 times, I said, maybe I can be doing something else. I'm a nice looking dude. I got good skills when it comes to, interacting with people. I know I can do something else, even though that the vending program, that the vendors are like, well, at least then was like the elite of the blind.
Yes.
Right.
They're the people that was making all the money
Yes.
and hiring people, and so I was part of that 1% of blind people,
Yes.
right? But just getting up 4 o'clock in the morning, have to manage 20 some people, all them different personalities. Have to deal with the food if you're gonna throw it away or try to stretch it another
Yeah.
day. Paying salaries.
You also needed to
So
hustle. Like yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say, well, so I retired after 37 years in the vending program, and moved on to get involved in other things, and the other thing with vendors too, because of our lifestyle and getting up so early, dealing with all that, we really don't give a chance to give back into the community as much as we like
Yeah.
to, because we're so busy,
Yeah.
and stuff. So then I got a chance to, started joining other organizations. That's how I got involved with the Metropolitan Washington Ear. A friend of mine's told me that he was running for office for the first time, and I was like, okay. He said, but I'd like you to be on my staff, man, because I can trust you and you'll tell me the truth
Oh.
and stuff. And I said, then wait a minute, it's not a mixed bag there. He said, what you mean? I said, now you're going to become a politician, but you want to be truthful. So anyway,
Was it?
so I became part of his campaign, and he asked me to be the spiritual leader. So we would do prayer. I figured, okay, with that, he should win, right? So he won, and that was 7 years ago. And ever since then, I've been on his staff
Wow.
as the disability constituent services for a person with disability and seniors.
Wow.
So he's
Is
So that's
is he a
Prince George's County at large
is
council
he a
person.
Well,
And I had the pleasure to work for the governor, the first black governor of Maryland,
yeah.
Moore, and I got to work with the first black female senator from Maryland, Miss Alsa Brooks.
Oh.
So
wow.
I have so I have been very fortunate, and as they say, living a good life right now. And 75 years old.
Well,
Wow.
I was just about to say you're somebody.
Yeah. And that's and they were people you could get behind, because when I, as a photographer, I'd get politicians would hire me, to do the photo promo. And I would rapidly find out that I didn't agree with their politics, because one guy who was running for Secretary of State, he wanted a picture with a well-known national politician, and I got it. And it was kind of a hit and run. He just ran up, shook the guy's hand. I clicked the picture. I got a call the very next day that said, if that picture doesn't disappear, you will never work in Colorado again.
Wow.
So
And
I
hopefully you
got,
still
I got
have
the
a
other
copy of it
side of the politics. But
Okay.
you're who was the politician that won, that first hired?
His name is Calvin S. Hawkins II, and he ran for at-large council person
Nice.
of Prince George's County. So he's at-large council.
Wow.
That means we have, so we have 9 uh, council people out,
Right.
districts broken up in 9. So as at-large, I get to serve all 9 districts, and I'm the only blind person that worked for that administration out of 240 people. I'm the only blind
Wow.
person. So
Wow.
therefore, so the thing is, when people call the other districts that disability people have the problem, they push them over to say, "Oh, I got somebody you can talk
You
to."
could talk to Reverend
so,
Ray.
so my boss in one meeting told all the council people they need to pay part of my salary.
Yeah, you opened. I'd be curious because with your, I know that you would have a lot of drivers with your first career, but were you able to hire any blind people?
What you mean where I am now?
Well, now I would think because
But when you worked for the Randolph-Sheppard program.
Oh yes, yeah. We hired some visually impaired people to get them to do, some things that didn't require a lot of
right,
sight.
right.
So yes, we
Oh,
did. Yeah, because I had 22 people working for me at one
wow.
time. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we was able to, get some people do some things, especially with the talking cash
Yeah.
registers.
Yes.
Because we had talking cash registers, so I was definitely able to hire some cashiers that was blind. But I ain't want them people back there cooking or nothing. You know what I mean?
Hey now.
Special
Hey
people.
now. I'm a pretty darn good
Well,
cook.
special people trying to cut up. Special people trying to cut up the tomatoes and stuff. They lead up to that. So yeah, I did hire a number of blind people, and I ran the cash register myself
Yeah.
because I wanted to interact with the public,
Right.
Yeah.
and I wanted to the public to understand that that blind people could do a quality job,
Absolutely.
and we could look presentable as
Absolutely.
well. But that was so important to
Right.
me, and even today, as how blind people present themselves. Because people would say to me, "Well, Reverend Ray, you always wearing the suit. You
Yes.
always, looking nice and stuff." I say because I might be the only blind person that you see, and you're going to judge us. And even at the Metropolitan Washington Ear, I tell my staff people, if you see a blind person that got something on their clothes or they don't look right, and if you uncomfortable saying something to them, you come to me. I'll pull them in my office and tell them because you don't know how that misrepresent us. And sometimes the blind people don't even know if they have,
Yes.
food wasted on their clothes or something like
Yeah.
that. Sometimes they don't know. And when I do presentations, I often have to let people know that it's people that is blind from when they was born. So, and then it's different from people that have had seen before and lost their
Yeah.
sight. I say because a person that never seen before, if you say a chair, they have no idea what a chair is.
Right.
Or say that it's like brown. That brown is yellow is darker than brown.
Right.
Those kinds of don't mean nothing to us. So one of the things that I had instituted at every meeting of blind people, mostly, I will have a item brought in for the blind people can feel it and see what it is. Because a lot of people that, like I said, that was born blind, they have no idea what a chair
Yeah.
is. You could give them a table and say, "This is the chair." What would they know the difference? They have no idea. So we do show and tell because when the iPhone came out, all the blind people was trying to figure out a phone shaped like an eye. They couldn't figure out what an iPhone was, right?
Oh,
So we had to actually buy a phone and send it around to everybody so they could feel it and see what it is. And because, everything now is presentation.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, food is presentation. It don't even
Yes.
taste good, just sound and look
Right.
good. So when they flash stuff up on the TV and with this beautiful music and stuff, and we had no idea what that
I know. I do that all the
So-
time. I'm like, Moses, what was that a commercial for?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And like the movie going off with this wonderful picture, like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, so we make it a point to we hear about new item, new product, a car, anything that we can get blind people to go and feel it and see what it is, to explain to them, what it
Yes.
is. And often when I have people that do presentations, or I try to get to this person that's doing a lecture or something, to just go over with them. But the first thing they do, and you all know, they come up with slides.
Yes.
Okay, we got some slides here for y'all blind people.
Yeah.
Right here
Yeah.
in this corner is like, what are these people talking
Yeah.
about?
I know.
And
So
they
we have,
wonder why blind
so
people tend to have a really good memory. It's because of those
yeah,
friggin'
exactly,
slides.
exactly. So I tell blind people, it's not fair, but every day, if you step your foot outside that door,
Yeah.
that you are ambassador for blind people and you are educating the public. It
Yes.
might not be fair. I mean, because sometimes, I get tired of being the poster child for blind people. They come up to me and, hey, especially you, especially Penny, you know what a dog.
Yes.
Oh,
I know.
I was telling some folks today about getting on the subway and people getting on there. Oh, that dog reminds me of King, and they start crying and everything,
Oh.
And I say sometimes that just gets so stressful, like I say, Penny, we have to
Yes.
be on the whole time we in the
Yeah.
public. We
Absolutely.
have to be on, and that can really get,
It can be
I found
exhausting. Like you said, like if you're not feeling well or you're just tired, you still have to be polite and educate people and answer their
yeah,
questions because like you said, you might be
yeah.
the only blind person they ever met.
I met someone recently in my life that I went to their home for I lost my sight on 4th of July, so usually that's a hard time
Yeah.
for
Right.
me. And so this year I had met someone and asked to come to their home because they just had sort of a calming spirit.
Mm.
And so I came to their home on 4th of July, and that was one of the best, comforting, serene times that I have spent.
Mm.
And and I have become friends with that person, even asked that person to, be able to come over their house every now and then, right? Because as you know, Penny, as you just said, how stressful
Yeah.
going through the day
Yeah.
is, with what people expect from us,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, I know faith is such a huge part of your life and it's, the threads run deep with you with faith. Did you, when you were 14, when the accident happened, was faith important in your life at that time? And if so, if not, how did you come to this,
No, faith was not important to me at 14. I was my mother and father was
mm,
divorcing. I was the oldest of 6 kids. I had 2 sisters that was in Catholic school, and we thought that was a joke, especially when they said that they was I mean, because most black people just sort of tunneled into Catholic, right,
okay.
religion and stuff like that, right? So like we ain't had no choice. That just sort of the way it
It's just the
was,
way it
right?
was. Yeah.
Before we understood about Baptists and dancing and singing and flipping all down the aisle, we was Catholic, so I had no, really no relationship with that,
Okay.
right, with the church. So fast forward, um, after losing fast forward, I met a young lady um, in 1971. I'll never forget, 1971 December. Her father was the chair of their deacon board. And I went over her house, right, and was dating her, and it was something just was different about them people, right? And I remember whispering to her during Christmas time, or Advent time, or whatever. I didn't understand it then. I remember whispering to her that I was going to become a minister, right? Because I was just so pumped up.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was in '71. All right, so I only thing I became when I got the Randolph-Sheppard program was spending that money and having a good time. And and I was making plenty money and I was having plenty good time. That's all I knew,
Right.
right? And Randolph Sheppard. So after you know, 3 marriages, I'm on my 3rd marriage. And
Moses is too. Moses is too.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So this will resonate with you
Yeah.
then. And so after making all this money and and I started going through, some financial situations, and especially after the Randolph-Sheppard program. And believe it or not, I got involved in some stuff, and I became homeless.
Mm.
Okay, the people aspired against me. I've been living in this house for 45 years.
Wow.
Okay. And they worked, and because they thought politically I was going to get involved with something and do something to them, so they worked it out through the court system. Believe it or not, and got me evicted from my house over $600. All right.
Oh.
Matter of fact, you could Google the blind man, his dog, and wife, and you see us sitting outside their house, right? And
Wow.
I didn't have all, but here again, this is what I'm saying. Then I learned about politicians. This why I accepted working with the politician, because I understand you got to be able to deal with money.
Yeah.
You got to have people in certain positions that can pick up a phone and say, I need this, and it happens,
Yeah.
right? So I learned from that. But what it made me do, we was evicted. I was living in a hotel for a while, and a gentleman heard about our story, and he called up, said he had a mansion that he wanted me and my wife and the dog live in, right? So we lived in this mansion for 10 months, right? Before we got placed in, where we living at now. But the thing
Wow.
is, I realized then that the Lord has spoke to me and said, look, if you don't do what I'm saying, I'm gonna whoop you. And so, and he whooped me, right? And he whooped me because you can't make promises to the Lord. You can't make vows to the Lord, and then pull back
That's
on it.
right.
So, and
That's
I
right.
realized that in 2016, I realized that, and I said, you know what, Lord, even though I'm, at this age, I'm going to turn my life over. You
Mm.
got some things for me to do, right? And I was dating this woman that was a millionaire, and she didn't trust anybody. All right, because she thought people always was after her money, and I left her. And I married Renee, and I believed in the Lord. I turned my life over to the Lord, and had a friend that was blind, that was a pastor, and he was teaching blind ministers if
Oh.
you want to become a
Yeah.
minister. So I went to my pastor and told him that I wanted to become a minister. I had a calling, and he said, Reverend Ray, we don't have the material and stuff, accessible to teachers, but I'm gonna give you permission to go ahead and take classes and become a minister. So I went and did that in 2016 and became a pastor in 2017. And from that on, everything, flows through whatever I do, it flows through the word,
Right.
And
And like I
is
said,
that when you founded the church?
no, I founded the church last year. No, let me say
Oh,
this. In 2016, I founded the church St. Didymus, and St. Didymus was a blind theologian
that's
in the
right.
4th century, right? And so I founded the church then, but I did not put it into a physical, what you call 'em. I mean, I say the time would be right. So last year, the Lord put it on my heart when I got to become the president of the board of the Metropolitan Washington Ear, and then became acting director. And we had upstairs, and we own our building, and we have upstairs and
Yeah.
downstairs. And then upstairs, I took and converted it to a church. So we had our
Wow.
first church service this past Easter.
Oh,
And we have 4 blind ministers, and we have the church
Wow.
band, and most of the church band is
that is
blind because
awesome.
because I had a band, I still have it. It's called Men of Praise, and I'm
Yeah.
the piano player
Nice.
and the coordinator. So we started a church band, and so we started the church, St. Didymus Church for the Blind.
Wow. How
Wow.
how many congregants do you have now?
Well, we can seat about 30 or 40
Okay.
people, right? But I tell them this. This is what our church do. I look at our church as an incubator because people keep saying, Reverend Ray, we start going to start having so many people. We got to get a bigger church. I said, no. I'm not looking to become a
Yeah.
Jimmy Swagger or nothing like that. I mean, bless his heart, even though he passed last week.
Yes.
I'm not trying to become
Yeah.
one of them. I say our church is like an incubator. And what we do at our church is that blind people that don't get treated right at their
Yeah.
church,
Right.
right? Everybody want to save blind people, but then after we become saved, they don't want us to work out our salvation at their
Right.
church, right?
Exactly.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
They just want to save us. And so the person can come to our church and become a whatever they want to become a minister. We're happen to be that. They want to sing in the choir, whatever they can do that. And the second thing that we do if they want to stay at their church was I had an incident where a young lady called me because when I'm doing the radio show, I'll say if you're not getting service at your church, if they're not a ministry at your church for you as a blind person or whatever, don't be paying your tithes, right? So people get mad with me,
Right.
right? I said, don't pay them tithes. And so a blind lady called me and said, Reverend Ray, I've been at this church for years and I want to sing. I try to get into the choir. And she
Oh.
said, and every time I talk to the choir director, he said, I'll get back to you. And she said, even people had told me when I asked where he at, he'd be standing right there and he don't say anything to me,
Oh.
right? And so I got on the phone, one pastor to another. I called the pastor, told him what the situation was. So me, him, and the music director had a meeting. And he just didn't know. And
Right.
he said, Reverend Ray, I just didn't know how she can be in the choir, right? And so by us being the experts, Penny, I
Yes.
was able to work out with her that, okay, it's not rocket science, but if you don't know, you don't know. So we got where he know what song they're going to sing. So we got the songs recorded for her and stuff, right? So then she can learn the songs and stuff and the lyrics of the background. And then in black churches, we march down an aisle when we come in and do
Yes.
flips and all that stuff. And I say, she don't have to do that. Y'all just stage her where you want in the choir law. So we was able to work
That
that
is
out, right? Then
awesome.
I had a person a person in a wheelchair wanted to teach Sunday school, and they said they kept bucking him, right? Say, okay, I'll get back with you, I'll get back. So they called me, and I got with their pastor. Here again,
Oh.
just a simple thing
Yeah.
that he be go in the door on the first floor in the room, the bathroom near the door. Near his room and just get a table that's low enough for him to teach.
Yeah.
Just simple thing. But if you don't know,
Yeah,
you don't
that's
Right.
know.
true.
So I'm just saying, so that's one of the other things that our church do. So we help you as a blind person stay in your church and be able to serve in there through
Yeah.
us helping them to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
That is something after 37 years living with a blind woman, you get hit with all types of prejudices like you just described. And I never thought of it that the prejudice behind not allowing this woman in the choir, the guy could not admit that he couldn't figure out how to do it. So he took it out on her by not letting her in it. And man, when you put that in so many, like Penn would go for a job before her career really took off, and they'd spend an hour and a half trying to explain to her how she couldn't do the job. and yet she was there, and then when you figure the average blind person has 4 to 12 years of college and university, how do they think they did that all by themselves, that your job would be easy?
Yeah.
I never thought of it, that it was their own incompetence creating the problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
Reverend Ray, I have a question for you, and so I grew up in the church, and I was the only blind child in the church, and my church was convinced that I needed to be healed. And okay, so you probably know where I'm going. And I would, they would tell me, they'd have these special prayer services. We even had Oral Roberts up on this big screen at this big meeting, and Oral Roberts was praying over me, and and it was put upon me, you need to believe. You need to believe.
Yes.
And I, as a child, I believed. I believed with all my heart and every cell in my body that I was going to be healed. And of course, I go to open my eyes and still see the way I saw before the hands were laid on me. And so growing up, that was really hard on me because I grew up in the church thinking there was something, that I was flawed and that I just didn't believe enough. I was doing something wrong. But then as I got older and I met other people who were blind, I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. And that God made me this way. So why would people want to change that or take it away? And so now, even to this day, and I've talked to other blind people about this, I'll be in a grocery store. I've been on the streets in San Francisco. It doesn't matter where I am. I have people, even Joann Fabric Store, I have people come up to me and ask if they can pray for my healing. and I tell them that. I said, if you're trying to heal me from my blindness, God made me this way, and I'm proud of it, and I'm happy, and I'm very appreciative of this, and it's a gift. Now, if you really want to pray, I have a brother who has cancer, and he could really use your prayers. Or, I have a friend that's really struggling with addiction. I would love it if you would pray for them. And they are just discombobulated. So I was wondering, as a blind person, and now as a reverend, and you are looked upon by the community around you as this advocate, and you're the one with all the answers. I would love for you to share what you think about that, about churches wanting to heal blind people, and why.
Yes.
And am I looking at that wrong, or like give me some wisdom here, Reverend Ray?
No, I don't think you looked at it wrong. And I had to come to this struggle, and and I would go to the different churches, and stuff like that. And of course, they have a healing service. So this one church I went to, and as the usher was trying to understand how to walk with a blind person, right? So I could hear the minister there, the person that was doing the healing. So as I walked in, I heard the minister say, "We're gonna have a good time tonight." And I knew what he meant. That he gonna try to heal me, right? So they bring me up to the front. Excuse me. They bring me up to the front, and they say, "And we're going to heal this brother. We're going to heal him that he can see." And so he put some oil on my head and slapped me. And he said, "Do you see? Can you see?" Everybody prays. So they praying, jumping around. I say, "No." And so he put some more oil on me and slapped me upside the head. And he said, "Can you see? Can you see?"
Oh, no.
I said, "No." So the third time he slapped me upside the head, I said, "I see stars." He said, "Sit the brother down. His sight is coming back." Now, after that incident,
Oh no.
I realized that these people cannot heal me, right? So as I prayed to the Lord and stuff, I realized this, and this is my message to people with disability now, that we are blessed to be in a situation for 30, 20, 40, 50 years, however we live. But if you turn your life over to Christ, right, you're only going to be in that situation for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But after that, you're going to spend 1,000 years with a new body, being able to see whatever. But while you in that situation, think about the things that we can do. Like the men, we can accidentally go into a women's bathroom and get away with it. I mean, there's so many things that we can do as a unique situation that sighted people can't do that, we can get away with.
Yeah.
So I tell people with disability, look at the uniqueness of your disability and enjoy it now. Because if you turn your life over to Christ, you're going to have a new body
Yeah.
for 1,000 years now. I'm still trying to figure out after 1,000 years what will happen, but I'll worry about that when I come
Yes.
to it. But the thing is, while you on the earth now, enjoy your uniqueness, your differentness, and take advantage of whatever the good aspect of and you have to look at the good in it.
Yes.
Because a lot of things, Penny,
Yes.
that we can get away with, that we can do, that we can have privileges with, that the sighted people
That's
can't
right.
do. Now that's what I have learned to embrace, and that's what I'm teaching people with disability. Don't look at it that the Lord done something wrong to you or whatever, because there's people out here that all kind of stuff happening to. And this is a sinful world.
Yes.
So if you have any good thing happen to you, you need to thank God for it, because this is a sinful world. Okay, trials and tribulation is all we supposed to have, and out of the womb of woman, you know how we supposed to be suffering. So if you having a good day, you lucky. You be thankful for that, right?
Yes.
And like I say, and one of the things I do, I ride a paratransit.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would have people say to me, Razor, you work for Councilman Hawkins. Y'all get new vehicles every 2 years, and they just sitting there. You could get a chauffeur if you wanted to work. I said, yes, I could. I say, but the reason I ride paratransit to keep me humble, for I can know what I could go through the same thing that these people on this paratransit, and I get to talk to them about their problems, their issues, to let them know about hope, and
That's
and
right.
that if they have a problem, they can call my office and talk to them about their rights and stuff. I said, yeah, I don't have to ride paratransit at $2 and $4. I can get Mr. Hawkins, especially after 7 years, to get me a chauffeur, that I could ride, and I make enough money. I make enough money that I can catch a cab or whatever.
Yes.
And my wife have a car, so I don't have to. But like I say, to keep myself humble, because we very easy can get to the point where we get out of touch with what's going on.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right. All right. All right.
I'll
love
go
that.
along with that, because as a photographic artist, when I became really successful with that, I could tell that I was losing. How would you put it? I was losing it because I was not having normal experiences.
Your perspective.
The perspective just and
Mhm.
then I went through a similar situation that you went through, of losing everything. And
Mhm.
of course, it took meeting Penn to gain everything I really wanted and really needed,
Aw.
which was that perspective. And I would much
Third
rather.
time's the charm.
Yes. Yeah. But I
That's
got to
it.
go to the one where where you can use your blindness is, yes, Penn cannot see, and but like, if we one time went to a Bruce Springsteen concert, and we literally, in this massive stadium, had the farthest back seat. We could touch the roof. And Penn goes, just a minute, we're going to use the blind card. And we and we went down to this radio station, and she goes, and she's doing this for me. And she goes, if I'm close, I can, it's a better experience for me. So we ended up going from the worst seat in this massive 50,000 stadium to 10th row center.
Yes.
So use what you got.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
So we're
No.
my
Well, I would love for you to share the radio show that you're doing.
Well, the Metropolitan Washington is an organization that we get a sub radio station from one of the big fellas,
Yeah.
And then we have volunteers come in. We have studios, and we have volunteers come in. We have over close to 200, and they come in and read the daily newspapers and all, and then we put it on the radio station, and we give people radios, and they have the thing that Alexas, and they can listen to the station. So because of technology now,
Yeah.
the time that we get the newspaper, get it to the volunteer go into the studio, they read it, then the engineer take it, put it on the radio station. Okay,
Yeah.
time all that happened. Uh, how much time is between that?
Mm.
So now you think about technology. You open your phone up and say, "I want to listen to the."
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need all that anymore, right? So we understanding that's going to become, and I hate to say obsolete,
Yeah.
Right.
right? So we decided to do two things. One, we decided to concentrate more on local programming, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get that on your national feed.
Right.
So people are going to listen to local stuff going on in their community, what meeting's going to be coming up, and especially for the blind, and that's Federation Blind going to meet. They're going to have an event and stuff. So we do a lot of local stuff,
Right.
right? And the other part of that in using the radio station that we decided locally as well that we would train blind people how to host their own radio shows.
Oh.
So right now we got 9 shows where blind people host, right? So on Monday we have a show called the Marriage Monday. So we have a blind fella and his wife is sighted, and they talk about what y'all go through right
Right.
now, husband and wife dealing with mixed
Right.
marriage, right? And so they talk about that. Of course, that's one of our most popular shows. And on Tuesday, we have Tech Tuesday. So we have a blind fellow named Little John. He talk about technology, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
And also, and then on Wednesday, we have Wisdom Wednesday. That's where me and my wife Renee does a show called Sight and Vision, Disability and Senior Talk Radio Show. And we have people from that come and talk about products and services. Also, the second hour on that show, we have our lawyer. He does a show called Magnify the Law. Now, that's the other
Oh.
thing I learned is that anybody that I pay money to, they are not going to just be serve us. They're going to be part of us.
Yeah.
So I got my lawyer. I pay him about $3,000 a month. Okay, so he gives back by coming and do a radio show every month.
That's
And then if we have
awesome.
and if we have any kind of event or something, they law firm kick him money,
Right.
right? Okay, so on Thursday I have Thumbs Up
Thumbs
Thursday.
up Thursday.
Thumbs Up Thursday mean that we have programs that don't fall in any of the other categories, right? Like feeling good sort of type
Yeah.
of things,
I
right?
love that.
Like Lom and Abner, them kind of people,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and also Thursday we have Therapy Thursday, where we have a young lady that recently lost her sight, and she want to share that experience with other people. So she have something called Sofa Talk.
Oh.
So she have so we call that Therapy Thursday as well. So she had people come in and talk about losing their sight, dealing with their families and
Yeah.
stuff. You know what
Yeah.
that
Yes.
you know what that's like,
Yes,
Penny. Dealing
exactly.
with your family with a disability.
Absolutely.
And then on Friday we have what we call uh, Finance Friday, right, or Fundraising
Yeah.
Friday, because I don't care. We know in these organizations you got to learn how to raise money,
Absolutely.
right? So we talk about that on Saturdays. We have Sports Saturdays because you know about the beat ball. Matter of fact, we're going
Yes.
to be working with a national beat ball tournament that's coming here to George Mason. We're going to help them, and we're going to broadcast it, all that kind of stuff. We're working with them, and so on Sundays we call Family Sofa Sunday, and that means people just sit around and listen to shows. Like Great Guilty Sleeve, Raleigh, Life of Raleigh, stuff like that. So, and then we have people that's doing different shows on those days and stuff. And so we're training blind people to do their own show. So when a person that's on the board of the NFB and they doing the show, people on the NFB, people gonna listen to it.
Right.
you know, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I tell them, even though we can't do commercials because can't sell our time, but I told them there's nothing wrong with you getting somebody that's going to sponsor you, right?
Right.
To give you money to sponsor you, and you don't have to say that this is by so and so, but you can say you use their product.
Yeah.
That you go to their restaurant. It was nice how those people, how you went to that person's restaurant and they brought out and they dusted off that Braille a menu, and gave to you. But so it's different ways. So we train our people how to do that, and more will. So every day from at 5 o'clock, that's when the shows start for the live shows for people that's hosting disability shows.
Wow,
That's
that's
awesome.
really neat. Yeah, because it needs more of that, because in this age where blind people are the most educated group in America and the least employed, that it seems that to get ahead, once you've lost your sight, you got to become an entrepreneur. And it sounds like you're
Mhm.
pushing that all the way through. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But is there, because it's irritating, we're getting near the end of time and I want to keep talking for another hour with you. But anything that you want to cover that we might have missed?
Well, you just mentioned it, being an entrepreneur. Now, the other thing we have done is set money aside to encourage blind people. Okay, because working in the government, right, and working with businesses and stuff, I realized this, and that's why I was saying about blind people. We have to be cognizant of how we dress, how
Yeah.
we groom ourselves. Because when I speak to different organizations and stuff, they say, "Oh yeah, we don't mind blind people working for us." And people, employees say, "I don't mind a blind person working," but they don't want to work next to them.
Ah,
Okay, they don't want them in the cubicle with
ah,
them, and this is why some of the reasons. And I share this with blind audiences. Well, first of all, they don't want a needy blind person that every time they go to the bathroom, their co-worker got to take on the bathroom. Every time their lunchtime comes, the co-worker got to go get their lunch for 'em. All right. So they don't want, and if they're not dressed properly, they don't want to say anything if they smell or something like that. So they don't mind blind people working. They just don't want to work next to them.
Oh,
So I have to get on blind people when I speak to them about the grooming,
yeah.
about the blind isms, and stuff
Yeah.
that they got to learn how to be independent. Okay, get them to show, get the mobility teacher come there, show you how to get to the bathroom, show you how to get down to the snack room or whatever,
right.
right? Because these people get tired of serving you, and they're not your servers, right? And so I tell the blind people that, and the other thing is, because we are not going to get jobs, because it's hard to change the perception of a sighted people that's giving us jobs, and there's enough people competing for jobs now thanks to our new president,
Right.
right? So it's hard to get a job. Sighted people, blind people,
Right.
whatever. So I tell people we need to start thinking out the box.
Yes.
Start a home-based business or something like that. I got 2 people right now that starting their own business, and I have set money aside and got them a coach, right, to teach them how to do their own business and set up their website and stuff like that. Now, my thing is this: they give back to the ear, right? So we get it once they get it set up. There's a percentage that's going to come back to the ear as a residual income every month, every month, every month. So that's is what one of the things that we that I lead people with, that we got as blind people to think out the box. We've been these same numbers every year, Penny. You know how many people with disability or blindness unemployed. It has not changed for years and years. And why do we think it's going to change? It's not going to change. We're just not going to be able to, we're not going to force these sighted people to give us jobs. That's just not going to happen. And when we started getting all this talking stuff, we thought it was going to help us for blind people getting jobs like Jaws and all the talking stuff. Well, it really didn't. It really sort of hurt us in a way, because that stuff is so expensive. unless you work for the government, or you work for, like me, I'm fortunate because I can get a $4,000 Braille and Speak. I can get a $6,000 whatever,
Right.
whatever. You know
Right.
what I mean? But unless you're working for a company that loved you, because you can work for a company and they still ain't giving you the kind of equipment you need, you cannot afford jobs at $900 and $1,200 and 45. And after you get it, what, $45 to $65 the hour that you need somebody to teach you this
Right.
stuff? So, so we thought that technology was going to help us, but, if you don't have the money, and then doors, well, we call them doors here, Department of Rehabilitation, but still your blind services there, they are picking and choosing what blind people that they're going to give equipment to in service. And I can understand that. Because they figure like if you're not going to get a job or go to college, I am not going to give you a Victor screen for $600. That's just not going to happen. Now, one of the things that we do at Washington Ear is we concentrate on older adults, right? Because we know these people still need to have they still need to know how to have an email, read an email and stuff like that. Because you still got to live in this society, right? And so that's not, at one time, like a telephone was a luxury. Then everybody realized, no, it's not a luxury anymore. Then for blind people, emails and having a Victor screen and stuff like that, that's not a luxury. That's something we need now, but that stuff is so expensive. So we have some funds set aside, and we get some people to sponsor those kind of things, giving the Victor screen to somebody, giving JAWS to somebody. But we don't charge for
Right.
anything. But we teach Braille, we teach all this stuff, and right now, we financially pretty well been set up by the founder and her, investments and stuff like that. But fundraising next year going to be a big thing for us. But we bought 3 vans because transportation is so important. To get people back and forth, because everybody think you can get on paratransit, which is not true. I hear people say, "Oh, well, get Metro Access." Well, you know, Penny, that they don't give that to every person just because you're blind or just because you got a disability. That don't happen,
Yeah.
So we understand that transportation is so important, and we also started a blind men's group that's going there right now as we speak, a blind men's support group. Because for men, and you know this, Moses, we just, we don't want to let people know that we vulnerable. So, and then if a blind man loses a job, that was really what identified
Right.
him, right? So now he no longer had that job, making that kind of money, driving a car, socializing with his buddies, never got deep inside the conversation, gut, like y'all women, Penny, y'all can talk to each other about
Yep.
everything, right? Now, men don't do that, right? Because we got this, this man
That's
thing.
right.
So when we can lose our sight, we really dealing with something. So we started a blind men's support group. And believe it or not, being in this area for all these years and all these blind people, we never could get a blind men's group together. So this is the first time in this metropolitan area we was able to get a blind men's support group, which is very, very important. I didn't have women call and tell me thank us for giving their husband back to them.
Wow. Wow. Man, I totally, what you're doing is just amazing. And I hope that, I mean, when you're listening to a podcast, you don't normally pull out a pad and take notes, but especially this last part, everybody should be taking notes because that list that you've just gone over is super, super important. So I'll give you the floor, like they do on NPR. You've got 35 seconds to wrap this up.
And my only wrap up is 3 things: wisdom, work, and wealth. Try to get those things in your life and share them with other people.
Oh, good ending. Good ending. So there you have it, folks. And so again, we want to thank everybody for listening, and that we want you all to get out there and be seen. Like Penn and I joke, take that white cane and use it like a flag that I'm blind and I'm proud. So and thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to all of you, because everybody out there, you're making this show and that it's going to spread around the world. And thank you.
On that note, again, thank you all for following us. Give us a 5-star review if you feel like we're worthy of it. Share us, follow us.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate it. Reach out to us. And again, it's feedback@aftersight.org. And remember to be kind to yourselves this week and find a way to be kind to somebody else. It's good for your soul.